Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Final Mix playthrough. So, we finished off our time in Olympus Coliseum, and now we get to head on to deep space. And I say in the grand scheme of things, this is probably a slightly more exciting visit to deep space than Terra's. In the sense of we get to spend a little bit more time with Stitch. It's still not perfect. I'd say potentially Aqua's is probably my favourite of the three trips to deep space, if only because it has the joys of a Disney boss. It has time with Stitch, has a bit more time with the Grand Councilwoman, and all that jazz. So really, I think, yeah, Aqua's is probably my favourite, but I think that Ven's is particularly awesome because Ven actually comes at the end of the Deep Space storyline, and for that it's quite special.
Whoa! Burst! Try that again!
So, before we even get to deep space, we have to take down this giant Unversed, which is sort of this weird jellyfish thing. And we get to fight on the Keyblade again. I would say that, once again, I'm not the biggest fan of the glider combat. It's a little bit finicky, because the only real way of getting any damage in is by using that sort of X button. And you have to get up close and personal, and it doesn't do all that much damage. Once again, Aqua's is probably the best variant of this combat style. If only because you can steer clear of a lot of enemies and kind of spike them from a distance, which makes it a much nicer run than having to get up close and personal. But thankfully you don't have to defeat all of its health in order to beat it, you just have to kind of beat up some of it, for it to then head onwards to the ship.
Trying to catch a ride, huh?
So yes, let us enter the ship and try to stop that Unversed. I mean, that's basically the entire plot of Ven's visit to deep space. But either way, let us hop on in.
Now don't get any more ideas. These guns are locked into your genetic signature. Huh? Huh? An intruder? All right, you. Don't get any funny ideas. So you're the intruder. Identify yourself.
My name is Ventus. The monster I was chasing boarded your ship.
Nice try. If there was another intruder aboard, we'd have detected it. Huh?
Intruder in the machinery bay. We lost control of the engines. It's some kind of monster.
Now you tell me. Stay right there. I have lots of unpleasant questions to ask you.
This is my fault. I have to do something. Huh?
Ven? Terra? Aqua?
What? You know Terra and Aqua?
Friend. Circle.
Hey, Is that a wayfinder?
The engines are under too much stress. We're risking an explosion.
What am I doing? There's no time! Huh? No, you need to stay here. It's too dangerous.
Oh, I love Stitch so much. She's like the cutest little ball of fluff ever that can, you know, destroy worlds and so on and so forth. But still. And I love that they replicated the prison scene of Stitch kind of using his saliva to break free. Annoyingly, you know, as I'm sure you can imagine, doesn't necessarily translate quite so well into a PSP game, because obviously the whole thing is, in the actual movie scene, he uses the broken bits of his cage to block the laser bolts as he runs, rather than, you know, just dodging as he runs, which looks infinitely more daft. But I do like that they included that scene, it's quite cool. And I suppose in a way, I just sort of... I think it's something that is a problem for pretty much most of Kingdom Hearts games, in that they don't necessarily always present their Disney moments in the best possible light, because they don't really have the technology to achieve that. So they do the next best thing that they can, but it's just not quite there. It's something that it looks like they really are going to fix for Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, of the footage that I've seen of all the cutscenes, I'm just like, it's basically like I'm watching a Disney movie. And I am living for it. It's amazing. And I feel like, as this playthrough continues onwards, I mean, we are pretty much getting close to the halfway mark now, which is hilarious considering, you know, we're only getting towards the end, well, we're getting towards the end of the second third of the stories, which is kind of hilarious. But yes, this is the slight gimmick of Ven's visit. He gets trapped into effectively a gauntlet, and I really do not have the best moves for this gauntlet. Like, Deep Freeze can be useful, but it's not actually all that powerful. And then while Sonic Blade can obviously be an absolute godsend, it needs your enemies to be grounded to have proper impact, and a lot of these enemies aren't really all that grounded. So you end up having to sort of battle back, but sometimes it does hit and then it's quite helpful. But because pretty much this second half of the game can sometimes be a little bit of a difficulty spike, because the enemies start to take a lot more damage, it can end up being a bit more challenging than you might expect. It's why I think generally the recommended order for most run-throughs is Disney Town, Olympus Coliseum, Deep Space, because the Unversed in Deep Space just happen to be that little bit more challenging outside of, you know, the Knuckle Bruisers. Yeah, let's go with that. That's what they're called, clearly. So yes, it certainly can be a tougher world than some of the others, but we're gonna do all right. And I never seem to do very well on Slot Edge. Like, part of me is just like, come on, give me the goods, and then it just never happens. But I suppose there's not much I can do about that one. Now, please, can someone give me a level up for Zack's... Oh, I actually got something there. Oh my god, moaning about Slot Edge not working causes it to work. And also saying, can I get the level up? And I got the level up, which is just brilliant. I'll happily take it when things like that happen, because it just makes it feel like me speaking to my past self creates things and makes them happen. I mean, in reality, that's just a load of old rubbish, and it was going to happen anyway. I just got incredibly lucky at timing it just to that moment to get that effect. But that is easier to pull off than you'd think. But yeah, at this moment, I'm just going, oh good lord, and then it was just like, right, get out of this D-Link ASAP so I can heal, because that's the kind of annoying thing about Zack's D-Link, is there's no ability to heal, which is just delightful. But hey, that's the end of that.
I don't know how you did it, but you won't get away again. You haven't fooled me. You can bat your eyes all you want at the Grand Councilwoman so she'll reconsider your sentence. But I see you for what you really are. An abomination that's only instinct is to destroy everything it touches.
And oh, he just blooming murdered Stitch's Wayfinder, and I'm really hurt by that, and really want to murder Gantu right now. Like, seriously, the anger within me is palpable. Like, nobody does that to my Stitch. It's just not okay. But, you know, since we're going to spend a little bit more time in Deep Space, and really I've completely run out of things to talk about. I think, once again, it's a thing that happens whenever I am doing commentary on longer games. I get to a certain point and then my brain just goes, no. And I just start having to think, right, well, how do I pad out the time? I've said this time again. But yes, obviously one of the things I love about Stitch is the way he speaks, and he does actually speak a sort of specific language. So it's called Tantalog, which is basically the language of the all of the experiments in Lilo and Stitch, and it's a cross between native Hawaiian, Chinese, and Chescreekian, which is a local language spoken by only a few people in rural parts of Chesterfield in North Derbyshire. Which I've definitely never heard any of that, but there we go. Now, there's a few like Stitchisms in Tantalog which you just use quite a lot. Akibaba is a friend, which is just like aww. Abaluka is a door. Akatiki Baba is there it is, or it's over there. Akutachite is your turn. You've got Bujibu, which is what Stitch only ever uses for Angel, who is the pink experiment. I can't remember which experiment number she was exactly. I feel like it might have been 623 or 622. Nope, that is definitely not experiment 623. That one is actually called Trainer. Let's actually get the number for Angel, because I know that she's somewhere in here. Because obviously there's all of the. Oh, she's 64. That's right. Because 65 is Reuben, 66 is Stitch, and then actually the only experiment that never got shown in the entirety of the Lilo and Stitch series is experiment 628. because 627 is evil, and then 629 is Leroy, the titular character of Leroy and Stitch, which basically marked the end of the series. I'm still slightly gutted that well, I don't think they've ever released Lilo and Stitch the series in the UK as a DVD. I wish they did. Oh! Oh, no, never mind. It does look like they released a box set though, which I'm looking at and just going, ooh! But that looks like that's in Japanese. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that they never actually released it in the UK, and that just makes me feel truly sad, because I would definitely buy the hell out of that. Because, like, seriously, I've always wanted to watch the entirety of the series, but I don't think I ever fully got the chance to, because obviously when you're a kid, you're just dealing with whenever it's on TV, and I just was never, like, I watched a really large amount of the series, but not all of it. And while I know that a lot of experiments turned up purely in Leroy and Stitch, still, I want to watch the entire series. Please, someone at Disney who may or may not be watching this, which is probably completely illogical, because why the hell would anybody from Disney be watching this? I mean, I'd probably get shut down for some reason or another. But like, just give me Lilo and Stitch the series. I mean, I prefer Blu-ray, but if it has to be on DVD in the UK, can you at least get me it on DVD in the UK? Because, like, seriously, I need it in my life. I mean, while I could technically get like a Region 1 box set, because I have got a DVD player that can do Region 1 stuff as well as Region 2, I'd quite like to have it Region 2. I mean, Blu-ray obviously would be perfect, because then, you know, it'd be super high quality and make me just so happy. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I mean, basically the whole reason, this is completely not a tangent, but it's getting me through the rest of the part, so I'll take it. And the reason that I've got a DVD player that specifically that can do region free stuff is because so one of the anime series that I've always really liked is, well, manga series that I've always loved was Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles by Clamp, and they did the anime series, and while series 1 was released in the UK, and was done in PAL, brilliant, loved it, series 2 was not, and that was absolutely heartbreaking. It was only ever released in America. So the only way that I was ever going to get it was by getting a Region 1 disc, and so in the end it was just like I can't not see the rest of the series through to them, because I do just love it so much. And it was the same because the 2 OVAs were also released in Region 1, and that was all I could get them in. It was just like, just stop doing this to me. And it was the same, sort of the same, I think, with Beck Mongolian Chop Squad, because I'd managed to get 3 series, well, like 3 of the volumes of it, but then couldn't get the last 2 because I didn't collect them until too late, and the time had been and gone, and they were impossible to get hold of. And they released kind of the full series on in the same sort of branding as the Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles Series 2, actually. So I ended up getting that, And so it was just like, well, I kind of need a DVD player to be able to play these things so that I can actually watch them whenever I like. And that was how I ended up getting the DVD player that I got. For the sole purpose of watching Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles and Beck's Mongolian Chop Squad the one time that I actually watched them all. Which is ridiculous. But then I've done crazy things like that before. I mean, like, the entire reason... Well, it wasn't the entire reason, but it was sort of the primary force behind me getting an Xbox 360 was because I wanted to play Sonic Unleashed in the good version. And so that's what I did. And I mean, it was a similar thing with Bayonetta 2, although not quite fully the same, because the whole reason that I was going to play Bayonetta no matter what, but obviously a huge part of the reason why I was getting a Wii U was because I wanted to play Bayonetta 2, and it was just like, nothing is stopping me from playing this game. And basically, had, you know, Microsoft not completely messed up and cancelled Scalebound, I would have actually ended up getting an Xbox One. Because I pretty much now want to play every Hideki Kamiya game ever that he makes, because I just love the games that he creates and I just want to see them through, and that would just make me really, really happy. So really, all I need to do is just make sure that I do keep getting them, and they just, you know, don't release them on a single console. Like, they're either multi-platform or they're on a console that I have. So Platinum, please just make sure that all Hideki Kamiya games going forward are either on the Switch or the PS4. That'd be grand. Make me feel so happy. And yes, I like how that was a nice sort of tangent that basically sort of took you through a load of random stuff that has nothing to do with Kingdom Hearts. And also took me completely away from the tangent that I was already on, because I mean that was all to do with obviously the Tantalog language. And I suppose, you know, since I've completely not spoken about that much at all since that point, I'll just say that Mi Gana Quista is I want to destroy, which is awesome. And that's basically like Stitch's key phrase, which is kind of delightfully naughty. And it's like one of the first lines that he says in the original film, and it's just like, ah ha ha ha, that's just delightfully evil. And yeah, I will never get over how much I love Lilo and Stitch as a film and a series. I mean, it's basically why Ohana, like Ohana means family, family means nobody gets left behind or forgotten, is basically one of my life mottos. It's the thing that has stuck with me and will continue to stick with me. Anyway, before we go and take on this next fight, basically you just want a whole bunch of distance magic attacks, really. Because you really don't want to be getting too much up close and personal with this boss, because otherwise he'll hand you your ass on a silver platter, basically. It's not hugely difficult, but it's more challenging than it perhaps could be because you've got to protect a thing whilst you're attacking. So, yeah. But we are about to get into it right now.
End of the line. Hey, you shouldn't be here. What is it?
And so now we get to bring the hurt to this thing. The key to succeeding at this fight is that try not to let it attack the ship's engine too much, because obviously if it receives too much damage then it's going to completely die, and you don't want that to happen. So as long as you keep attacking it, then really it doesn't stand too much of a chance. I mean, every now and again it will decide that it wants to sit down, and thankfully you've also got Stitch fighting away alongside you, and if he, he starts bouncing up and down, then you just go and throw him. But also, as you can see, this guy's actually not really putting up that much of a fight. I think I remember having a slightly tougher time when I first played it, but this is really not too bad. And while I'm just making sure that I can get a cure on there, that's the end of that, which he didn't even get a chance to attack the ship, which I will definitely take that. And now we're also about to get just awesome Stitchness until the end of the world, and that just makes me so happy.
What's gotten into you? I see. Your wayfinder broke. Well, don't worry. Friendship's more than an object.
Friendship circle?
Don't let the little mimic fool you. You saw for yourself what kind of monster that thing is. All it knows how to do is hurt and destroy.
Monster? He helped me stop the monster!
You must have triggered some sort of mutation, hidden in the little freak's genetic coding.
Friend!
That's right. We are friends.
Better say your goodbyes now, because 626 is about to be destroyed. Stop that!
Come on!
Sound the alert! Prisoners on the loose! Don't let them get away!
Of course he took the red one.
Where are we going?
Hyperdrive has been activated. System charging. Warning. Guidance is not functional. Navigation failure. Do not engage hyperdrive. Repeat, do not engage.
Break formation, get clear!
What is it? What's going on?
And so, that is the end of the story of Deep Space. And so, all that's left is the penultimate world of Ven's story, which is, once again, Neverland. But before we do that, we do have a few chests to pick up in here. There's also a few delightful enemies to murder. And I think that's probably the first time I've ever gotten Heal Strike. It's not something that I'm going to keep because I don't want it, but hey, it's nice that I've unlocked it. And slowly but surely I will get to level 4 Air Flare. That would be nice, wouldn't it? But yes, there are actually quite a lot of enemies in this big room. So it's all about making sure that you just completely destroy them. Try not to die. The difficulty with this room is that it is quite large, and it's very easy to get accidentally blindsided by enemies. So you just have to be that little bit careful. Which is to say, I totally didn't die in this room whatsoever, from what I recall. Definitely not. Definitely didn't have to edit it around it at some point. We'll see whether my unsubtle sarcasm comes to light at any point. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that at some point I definitely died. Yeah, I will say, at least in this room, the chests that are here aren't floating whenever you choose to go with the extra gravity. So you actually don't lose a whole lot by putting it on, which really is a godsend, because I think that it could have been particularly awful had that been the case, because sometimes you can't actually, I think, get enough height to get up to here without that, so it can become a little bit mean. But it is all okay, because now it's basically just time to bring the murder house down. And also, I've finally gotten Wingblade again, and hopefully we'll actually be able to pull off its final attack with Ven. That would be quite nice. Because up to this point, I think I got it actually not that long ago with Ven. It was earlier in this world, and then it just didn't retain. Well, I didn't have enough enemies to kill in order to get it to work, and this is not going quite so well as I would have liked either, because no enemies are turning up, and I'm just like, why? But I have got all the chests, and I have got all the stickers, so basically all I need to do right now is just murder some Heartless? Heartless don't exist yet in this well, at this point in the franchise. It's unversed. But yeah, please. Oh, well, that just completely threw me out of Wingblade anyway. So joy. But yeah, all I needed was for this guy to turn up, and then I could have murdered him, and then brought all the other enemies into play. And then I could have gotten to keep my Wingblade and finally get it to actually do the final move of it. That would have been amazing. Oh good. Straight into Wingblade. So can you please just let me kill enough enemies that I can use its final attack? That would make me happy. Game, can you make me happy, please? Please? Oh, there we go. Perfect. It's going to let me do it. And I have to say, Wingblade is pretty amazing, because it's just that, just murderousness. And then Pulse Bomb's also pretty awesome. I say it's probably one of the least useful of the shotlocks, largely because it's just so slow in terms of actually getting any damage in. So it's not one that I would really recommend whatsoever. But hey, that's what you deal with, and I believe at this point it was just like, right, I'm just going to try to level up Zack again, just to, you know, make sure that I make use of all of these enemies that are present. Because, hey, what's the point in taking on a room and not actually killing all the enemies that are in said room? It doesn't make sense. I might as well use them to get more experience points, even though, you know, I'm not going to level up again in this fight, but it's still helpful when stuff like that happens. And that you just get more time to murder enemies. It's really moments like this where I feel my bloodlust comes in. I'm just like, oh, I didn't quite realise that was there. And there we go, fully levelled up Zack. Just what I wanted. as you can see, I definitely did learn my lesson after Terra's story and have definitely made use of D-links. Not necessarily how I perhaps should have done, in the sense that really what I should have done would have been to ensure that I actually then made use of them after I've got them fully leveled up, because that would have been the most useful thing in the world. But there we go. Not much I can do on that front. And now the question is, can I get Zack's final finisher before Zack's D-Link runs out? This is the challenge. Let's see, is it possible? And oh! I got a prize again! Never happens, and oh yes, here we go, Hero's Pride. Ended up being a bit of a waste of using it, but I got to use it. That is the important thing. That counts towards my lovely report, and I will take that. And so, now that that's all out of the way, it's time to head on to the penultimate world of Ven Story. So let's just do a little bit of melding, and, well, no melding at all, but let's save and head on out of there. After we've saved, you know, I did say save, but you know, it just takes a little bit longer sometimes just to, you know, do the action and then sod off. And now's my cue. I'm gonna sod off.